Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
All right. Oh, no, sit down. Nope. I want y'all to feel bad for this translator tonight. My name is Thomas, and I'm an alcoholic. My allegiance to my recovery is to Alcoholics Anonymous. I've never wavered or changed on that. I don't particularly care how you get yours. I'm just telling you how I got mine. You know, the house I grew up in, my mother shot my father in front of me when I was 10 years old. My mother shot my grandfather 5 times. And so you see, I should have been a serial killer. I grew up in this beautiful town of Austin, Texas. I grew up in an alcoholic home and basically an alcoholic community. I really didn't like alcohol because of the way it smelled on my parents, and I didn't like Friday and Saturday night at my home my whole childhood. Because there was a fight, there was cussing, there was madness. And my way out of that was to hang on the streets myself till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning as a 9, 10, 11-year-old boy. Hustling, because there was no money. We were poor, and I knew we were poor. 63 came to me recently. 1963 was the worst year that I could have ever imagined, because that year I'm downtown Austin waiting on John F. Kennedy to come to Austin, because we had assembled there as children to meet the President of the United States. He didn't make it. That year, my mother shot my stepfather. And that year, I didn't get anything for Christmas. 1963 was rough. As a little boy, 10 years old, I remember Christmas morning. I lived right by the cemetery over there in East Austin. That good real estate with all those tombstones and things. I ran around that cemetery crying as a 10-year-old. And I made a promise to God. I said, God, I'm going to be somebody when I grow up. I'm going to take care of my mama, God. I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to get my family out of this. I'm crying and I'm running. And as I get down the road in this story, you'll understand how that 10-year-old boy spoke to me a lot, even in my darkest times. He would remind me, hey, you. At Anderson High School, 1969, my best friend, James, was shot in the chest. I'm standing very close, shot in the chest with a revolver, and died. It freaked me out. And the poor people who lived above Manor Road and Chican, trusting people, white people, just leave their damn bicycles on the curb. A little kid ride their bike, just lay it down, Me and my buddies would go up there and shopping. We're just shopping. I'd ride one by block and lay it down because I saw another one I wanted. Determined to have a bicycle. After my friend was killed, my mother had 5 children, and I was the oldest, and I had not met my father. I used to ask her all the time, where's my father? What does he look like? And she would give me the simple answer: look in the mirror. You look just like it. So I hung around UT campus, and when Whitman was shooting people over there, I was in Gregory Gym stealing some Converse tennis shoes. And I heard stuff, and when the police cars started coming, I was running thinking they were after me. I was on campus that day. A lot of history in Austin. But I have to tell you this about Austin. I was so uncontaminated because East Austin was so segregated, and I never saw my parents embarrassed. I never saw my father called any names or put down. I just was unaffected. Anybody who ever called me that word got the shit beat out of them. So don't call me that. I don't feel like fighting tonight. And I want to say to everybody here that when I come into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous, I am an alcoholic. I'm not a celebrity. And so those of you who have asked me to sign this or that, please respect the fact that this is sacred ground for me. I'm one of you. So I go to Oklahoma. By then I'm smoking marijuana. I'm taking acid. I'm smoking commercial weed, which is the worst. And I don't know how I got through that phase. I'm in Oklahoma City for my junior and senior year. Oklahoma is a border state, so I couldn't play football my junior year. And so I worked. I had a grandmother who was a holy roller. One of the rules when I got to Oklahoma was you got to go to church, a couple times a week. And I would go to church with my grandmother every Sunday for 2 years. For my junior and senior in high school, I went to church a couple of times a week. And my grandmother, Nettie Mae, I've never seen anybody get the Holy Spirit every Sunday. But at about 12:25, boy, look at here. She get to trembling, and I just get up. Okay, all right. Okay, I go to the back of the church and just let her do a thing. She'd throw her hat off and we get in the car to drive home, and she said, I was praying for you. And so I bet he hurt you. I go to college. So, some of you know I won the lottery, but when you hear my story, I won the lottery about 15 times in my life. The summer of 1971, May of 71, March of 71, I turned 18. Any of you old enough to know the Vietnam War was going on at the time. And I was 1A. Went down to civil service, went down to the draft board, signed in, and was told that I was 1A. And I went next door and joined the Air Force. Then I was called back to the draft board. And this simple conversation kept me from going to Vietnam. This guy, this sergeant, whoever he was, had a lot of stripes on. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to summer school to finish high school." He said, "Okay, get out of here." I really didn't know what that meant at the time. But I can tell you right now, that kept me from going to Vietnam, that I went to summer school to finish high school. Lottery. I walk on a college campus, late August, 1971, with no scholarship, no financial aid, just that I had made all-city a defensive end, and walked on, and this coach said, "Well, we knew you were a good player. We thought the University of Oklahoma was going to get you." He said, "Well, come on." And so, before I knew it, my mother was poor enough to, I got the, Pell grants and this grant and that grant. And I go to practice on a Tuesday, and the guy in front of me breaks his ankle on Wednesday. Lottery. So I go to college on Tuesday. Saturday, I'm playing against Kentucky State. Make 6 sacks. And the guy that broke his ankle never got his job back. At 18, 19 years old, not drinking. Don't, Mom and Dad I just didn't want to drink. They were drinking wine and Mad Dog and Ariba and Silver Satin, and so I'm talking about some street wine here now, y'all see. Some of that liquid dope, you know what I mean? But see, I would end up drinking some, but I didn't want to. Because I think that sometimes alcoholism is just in your soul. So, 4 years later, I make All-America. I'm on campus taking, mind-altering substances and still not drinking. And January 1975, I'm drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in the first round. They gave me made about $100,000. And I played in the Super Bowl. And I met the Pointer Sisters and Richard Pryor and Marvin Gaye. And I went to Hollywood, California. And the wheels started to come off. I played for the Cowboys for 5 years, went to 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. About 78, I can tell you now, I became a full-blown alcoholic drug addict. And uncontaminated black man didn't know his place. So Tom Landry never understood me. I understood what he wanted, but I wasn't going to give it to him. And he was the boss, and I got fired. He came to my 10-year sober anniversary and said to those assembled, he said, if I'd have known now what I know, if I knew now what, if I knew then what I know now, I would have treated him differently. We probably would have won 5 or 6 more Super Bowls. Because, I was blessed. I helped them win. Of course, my last conversation with him, I wish I could take back. One of those alcoholic, arrogant conversations. The last thing I said to him walking out the door, which came true, I said, "You ain't winning no Super Bowls without me." He never went back. So I'm full-blown alcoholic. Cowboys have fired me. The 49ers tried to claim me. I said, you can't waive me. I quit. And nobody told the 49ers that I was an alcoholic and drug addict. So the Bill Walsh signed me. And I lost my heart in San Francisco, high up on a hill. Here's the only thing I remember about San Francisco. I really do remember little. What I do remember about San Francisco was I lived in Redwood City, which was right there by Palo Alto, which was near Stanford. And that's all I remember. Oh, the other thing I remembered was Redwood City. There's something special going on in Redwood City. I bought a condo. So my wife and my little baby, so I run around the house one day looking for the air conditioner. And lo and behold, I didn't have no there was no air conditioner in this condo. And I went, they robbed me. What kind of place is this? I paid big money for this. No air. I went down to the hardware store and bought me area fans and big fans. Almost froze to death. Redwood City is one of those deals where even in the summer it gets like 50 at night. It's a remarkable climate thing. That's kind of what I remember. When I got drafted by the Cowboys, I met my DNA donor for the first time. He came out of the woodwork. My boy, look at you. I had to make amends on that one, and I'll tell you about that later. Bill Walsh walked into the locker room. I'm laying in my locker, and my eyes are like blood red, bloodshot. And I went home that afternoon, and they brought all my stuff, all my shoes, my helmet, my shoulder pads, my everything. Big old bag, big old stuff. And a big old check. And they just said, "You're not welcome back here." There was a DEA report that I was in the wrong places. But they didn't tell Houston. So Bum Phillips called me, gave me a big old check, and I played for the Oilers, played with Earl Campbell and Kenny Stabler and all those boys down there. I actually made the interception against the Vikings that put us in the playoffs. And they saw there was something wrong with me. And they didn't re-sign me after the Oakland Raiders beat us in the playoffs. They didn't sign me the next year. And then nobody told Miami. And the last place in 1981 that you would send a alcoholic cokehead would be Miami, Florida. Ich bin ein großer Schwarzer Amerikaner. I spoke in Germany one time that says I'm a big black guy. That's my German right there. Oh, are you impressed? Oh. I go to Miami. I burn somebody's house down. They came over, told the Dolphins. Then here comes the FBI about a machine gun that went off in Dallas, that I was in the house when it went off. Didn't I see it? Can I identify it? And I stuck with my story. Let me tell you something. You ever get caught by the police? Don't change your story. I said, I heard it, but I didn't see it. They said, no, we think you saw it. I said, what did I say? I said, I heard it, but I didn't see it. You can't put my eyes on it. I can't describe it. So they had to let me go. August 1981, I break my neck. Last preseason game with the Miami Dolphins. That ended my career in football. But at Jackson Memorial Hospital, in traction, in ICU, I have someone bring some crack into ICU. You can't make this up. Not only did I have him bring crack into ICU, I had to push my bed over against the door. Now, that's sick enough for your ass? Because this disease we suffer from is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And when we're in the middle of it, we can't see behind us, can we? I come back to Dallas with a cast on, under my chin. It was a vest that came down to here. And I just felt like a brother in a bowl, you know what I mean? And my chin started to hurt right here because, you try to move your head and I got a second opinion, and the guy put a Philadelphia collar on me, which the Dolphins hated and didn't give me my retirement money or whatever it is. I lost some money doing that. But, it was back in the day when they wouldn't even let you have a second opinion. Came back to Dallas, and somebody had mercy on me. The DEA, the FBI, the Cowboys, and so I had a clandestine meeting with an official of the Dallas Cowboys in a parking lot. And he said to me, we know what you're doing. We know what's going on with you. Here is a phone number. Call it. A couple of days later, I made the call, and it was a psychiatric hospital in Phoenix, Arizona. And so, back when you could smoke on airplanes, I took pipe and coke, and I boarded the plane and went to the bathroom, and I didn't come out until we landed. I got in a taxi cab and was smoking, and the guy was looking at me through the mirror, looking at me. Finally, he asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to a rehab. He said, well, you damn sure ought to go. So I get to this rehab, and I go sit on the steps of the rehab, and I finish what I got. On the steps. I didn't go in there till I was finished. And I go in there with the high beams on. So they, give me this and that, Valium and everything you could get to settle me down. And then, maybe 6 or 7 days later, I came out of detox, and then they put me in group. And the first time you ever are in group in your life, you know what I'm saying? I come from a family that didn't even talk much, let alone tell your business, right? And so I go to my first group, and not only is this group, they're mentally ill people in my group. One lady is pulling her dress up, and another guy is grinning at me. And I look around, I go, these people are crazy. And then I thought, I'm in the group. Then I wonder, what are they thinking? Here's a black guy thinks he's a Dallas Cowboy, so we were all crazy. So those of you who are here who are in treatment, you know what I'm talking about. So, because I had used so much of that white stuff, I had burnt a hole in my septum, so my septum was destroyed. And let's get gross. Before I took to smoking it, I snorted it and just never cleaned it up. I just piggy. I was a pig, and it just tore a hole in there, And so every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd get in a hot sauna, shower, you know what I mean? And I would just start blowing my nose like a horn. And then, boy, when I really got lucky, it would come out, bop, right up against the shower wall. It looked like a little embryo. It would slide down the wall bloody and, I'm sharing, y'all, now if you don't want me to share. But I qualify to be up here, you know what I'm telling you. I didn't know I was going to get raw tonight, but I'm getting a little raw. How are we doing, Dr. Bennett? My lawyer's over there. Are we okay? We okay? Okay, we're all right. So my friend comes over and picks me up, and I stay in there 60 days, and we coming back toward Dallas, and he bought me some weed, and I rolled a joint, and we're riding on the highway, and I say to him, I fire up a joint, and I go, I think this program's gonna work. It really, it's. I moved to Arlington, Texas, and my good friend B.J. Thomas, the raindrops keep falling on my head. My good friend took me in, put me up, basically just took care of me. And I stayed in Arlington a couple of years. I started doing different things and making money, and I just didn't make it to the rooms. I just missed it. No one told me to go to AA at a psychiatric hospital. I did not know where AA was. I went to California, and I was in a crack house. Okay, all right, it was my house. And had a couple of girls there and smoking crack, and I got charged with sexual misconduct. And the reason I told you that is because I got a phone call a couple of days later from my mother's employer. My mother was a maid. She cleaned toilets and bathtubs and showers and changed people's linen and stuff. Her boss called me, and she said, well, your mother was cleaning out my tub when she got the news, and your mother fell on the floor crying. I shamed my mother. I shamed my family. I was 30 years old. I hadn't done anything to anybody except for myself. That was one of the most powerful things. Who have you hurt? Ask yourself the question. Ask the question. I'll ask the question of everybody in this room. Those of you who are going in and out of these rooms, have you no shame? I'm in the Long Beach City Jail, looking in a dirty mirror and a dirty toilet and a dirty sink, and I look in this mirror and a 10-year-old boy appears. What's wrong with you? What happened to you? I take my Super Bowl ring to bail out. 3 or 4 days later, my lawyer came to my apartment where I continued with gin and crack. He found me, and that moment of pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization is when somebody sees you at that worst moment, and you know how you're looking. You know it ain't right. I saw that look on his face. He was embarrassed for me. He was ashamed of me. And he felt sorry for me. I would later cry real hard about that, because his eyes said it all. But, you know, being a lawyer, he dropped me off at a treatment center and threatened to sue him if they didn't keep me. I went to treatment in November 4th or 5th, don't remember, 1983. Detoxed. Got introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous. Got a sponsor. There's a guy here tonight who knows my sponsor. He came up to me and let me know he knows my sponsor in California. I started going to meetings 3 times a day. Every day. For 7 months. I worked 12 steps that changed my life. Actually, I worked 9 steps that really changed my life. And the 10, 11, and 12 are the ones that make my life work today. Alcoholics Anonymous and its principles, its steps and its principles changed my life. Here's what I understand about what we all know. But I want to tell you something so you can think about it. Bad days are short, but they seem long. Good days are long, but seem short. You've heard all the stories about people just relapsing and just silly, just. I ask the people who come in and ask yourself tonight somewhere, have you no shame? You hurt your mother and your father and your wife and your children and your employment and your standing, and you haven't you? Alcoholics Anonymous can help you stop the madness, the insanity. Self-will run riot. When I first saw the steps and I had this man take me through the steps, step 1, I was powerless. Step 2, I'm insane. I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I made an inventory. I did my 5th with a clergy woman. Now you have to understand how you get to telling the truth. You tell too much. But I just went on with the 5th like it was like I was talking to God, because He already knew. So I asked people who had already been in there with her, I said, what did she say when you were done with your 5th? She said, is there anything else? When I got through with my fist, she said, well, you can go now. That's good. We're good. You're good. You're going to be all right, son. When we get to the shortcomings and character defects in 6 and 7, you know, then you go to these amends, you know. And wherever possible, in step 9, you really, this is just how you ought to live your life, really. And I'll tell you an amends I made about 15 years ago that was probably the most important one I'd ever made. My stepfather, Agichi, from Utahville, South Carolina, kept a roof over my head. Now, we ate a little bit too much rice and okra, but, he'd go in there and cook, act like he's doing something, and come out there and give me a bowl of rice and some okra. And I would just look at him. But he's doing the best he could. So when I got drafted by the Cowboys, my real father, my DNA donor, he's not my father, my DNA donor shows up in my life. I make a big fuss about it. Hey, I'm going to meet my father. I go up to New York and fuss over him, and boy, I took them to Super Bowls, and they came around and all this. These people, that I don't, my DNA donor. It took me about 14 years to understand what I had done to my stepfather. So I go to his house one day, about 15 years ago, and I said, Dad, I need to talk to you. I take him out on the back porch, and I start crying. I said, I'm sorry. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I made a big deal out of that man who never sent a penny, who never held me, never consoled me, never did anything for me. I made a big deal out of him being my father. I said, you are my father, and I apologize. I was wrong. I'm sorry about that. And being the proud Geechee he was, he said, boy, get on out of that. Boy, that's fine. Boy, get on out of here. That didn't bother me none, boy. Go ahead on. I left his house. Next day, his wife called me. She said, I don't know what you said to him yesterday, but he cried like a baby after you left. That's what an amends can be like. So y'all know that I've been trying to be of service for a long time. I'm blessed that God willing and the creek don't rise, this coming November will be 30 years. So, I went to prison at 7 months sober. I pleaded no contest because I was guilty. And I had no record. They gave me 28 months, and so I spent 28 months with the Aryan brothers, the Crips and the Bloods, the BGF, in California. Charles Tex Watson was on my floor. But here's what I did in prison. Every 2 weeks, Big Four Fellowship would come in. And they would come and rack the doors. They can open them doors all at once, or they can just let you out. And they used to come up and go, hey, hey! Hey, hey! I'm standing right at the door. And that door opened up, I step out. I'd be the only one on the floor. Now, I'd made a lot of friends on the floor, on the yard, Had a couple of fights. Yeah. I'm from East Austin. Don't fuck with me. I didn't go to Penn State. I didn't go to Westlake. Excuse me, God. I step out and I walk this long gauntlet. And my friends, I mean, these were, even Tex. Tex had about 7 kids. It looked like his wife got pregnant every conjugal visit. He married the preacher's daughter. But I would walk this gauntlet, and they would be at the doors going, "Hey, Hollywood, man, you ain't fooling nobody, man. You know when you get out of here, you're going to smoke. You know you're going to drink. You going to AA for what?" 28 months I walked that gauntlet. About the 26th month, it got real quiet. Because I wasn't drinking any of the Kool-Aid on the floor. I wasn't buying none of the marijuana on the floor. I wasn't touching no cocaine or heroin on the floor. They said, that boy's real. I got out and went in June. I was at a AA conference June 10th for the AA's birthday, 1984. I'm with a guy who just constantly relapsed. And one of the things that Tom did for me, Tom is no longer with us, but Tom was my buddy. We were in detox together. We went to meetings together. We hung out every day together. And I saw alcoholism up close and personal. He could not stop. We walked down to the store. We're in treatment. We can walk down to the store to get a Coke or a pack of cigarettes or whatever it was. And we even saw Bob Hope down there one night. He would get a half pint of vodka and drink it all right in front of me. One night I had to wrestle him because he broke into the nursing station trying to get to the pills. They called the fire department and everybody. But he was my friend. And I saw it. I saw the disease. I saw the pain. I saw him struggle. And he acted like he couldn't stop. I wanted to say to him, do you have no shame? I'm really sad that he taught me so much with his life because he lost his life in his disease. We were coming back from Palm Springs. He said to me, I was driving this $500 car that I was making payments on. Anybody got one of those? Yeah, it wasn't always good, y'all. And I could see the highway through the gear shift here. Hot air coming up through there in the desert. Tom says to me, Hollywood, you're going to prison tomorrow. Let's go to Santa Ana and get high. I had 5 miles to think about that. It was a pretty good offer. You go into prison in the morning. Why don't you get high tonight? I have to tell you, I'm up here, I got to tell the truth. I thought about it. Came up to that exit. To the right goes to Santa Ana and Anaheim. To the left, Newport Beach. I went to Newport Beach. And that's why I'm standing here tonight. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Came home, 89. Started making films. Started being of service to others. Built things. Everything that I did good was before the lottery. I ain't done shit yet since.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
I built a football stadium for the kids in East Austin. I fasted for 7 days to build a track for East Austin. And I still support anybody who comes to me straight who wants help. Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life. I fell into the lap of Clancy I, Chuck Chamberlain, Frank O, Chuck Denmark. I fell into the lap of some men who I knew they cared about what was going to happen to me next. They didn't judge me because there was nothing serial about me. I wasn't some serial killer or just somebody who did 15 or 20 things and just couldn't stop doing them. I done one thing, and I shamed my mother and my family and my friends, and then I was ashamed. That's what got me here. That's what keeps me here. I don't want to embarrass my family. My children? My God, I don't want to embarrass my kids. So one day at a time, I do this thing. This is important to me. And I hope if you're new and you're in treatment right now and you're in group and you don't understand what the hell, somebody shares something deep, you be going, what? I ain't never telling no shit like that. It ain't coming out of me. Oh no, I'm going to the grave with my shit. Ooh, girl, I can't believe you said that. Ooh, you nasty. That right there will save your life. In the rooms, tell the truth. Because somebody going to walk up to you. They might not even be loud about it and say, you know, I did that too. Come over here, let me talk to you about it for a minute. Ain't nothing original around here. Huh? We done all done it, been there and done that. If you're new and you're struggling, stay here. My friend, stay. You know who I'm talking to back there. Stay. Find a way to love this program. Find a way to love the men and women here. I always got to tell a joke or two. This boy got out of treatment, and he went to a bar, and he ordered a shot of, just got out of treatment, went to a bar, said, I'm going to have a shot of vodka. And he took the glass and put it over. He said, give me another shot. And he took the second shot and he threw it down his throat. He had about 10 more shots. Finally, the bartender said to him, hey, what about that first shot I gave you? You ain't drank that one yet. He said, well, at the rehab, they told me it was that first one I need to look out for. I want to thank Harris for inviting me back again. And I want Harris to know my heart is full with yours tonight. Harris, ladies and gentlemen, lost his mother, and he's in mourning. And if you love him, go give him a hug because his mother was special to him. And I want y'all to show him some love tonight for his family who has lost a mother. I won the Texas lottery in 2000, and I've done well. I have no bad habits, so I, sort of still got it. But there's a story about people who, want to win the lottery. There's this woman who was really a good Christian woman. Matter of fact, she was a nun. And boy, she spent her whole life with God and Jesus. And she said to God, I want to win the lottery. I've been good. I've been faithful. I've done everything you've asked me to do. I want to win the lottery. The lottery is $100 million and I want it. Because when I get it, I'm going to give it to the church. And so the lottery comes and goes and there's no winner. And she says, God, you let me down. I'm your girl. Hook me up. Lottery comes and goes. No winner. She started praying to God again. God interrupted her. He said, sister, do me a favor. Will you at least buy a ticket? I might be able to help you out. But can you put $1 up, please, or something? So, if I didn't say this, let me say it now. Alcoholics Anonymous saved and changed Thomas Henderson's life. Because I am aware of shame and what I brought on my family and friends. And I don't want that anymore. I always end with a prayer. God, no, not you, this is mine. God, thank you for letting Thomas Henderson laugh and smile again. But please, God, don't ever let me forget that I cried. Thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.